disclosure so we can talk about these earnings reports. I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRecipic. All trades placed by me are placed through T3 Trading Group, and you should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Here's the position disclosure. Trying to stay light and tight while this market's as bearish as it is. I feel like I missed the opportunity to add on some shorts. But let's see what's going on here with this. Chipotle's numbers looked good to me, but they're down 5% here also. Where's Microsoft at this point? Still all over the place. Gotta bring up this post-market price action so we can take a look. Yeah, Microsoft all over the place. Numbers looked fine to me. Honestly, they look like the stock should be doing exactly what it is doing, trading around where it closed. Numbers look fine. Nothing amazing, nothing terrible. So just kind of a lot of volatility and going nowhere so far for Microsoft. Google was a little concerning. They had some kind of small misses in there. I don't know if I saw guidance. I want to see guidance. Maybe they're waiting for the earnings call on that. Snapping back up here a little bit after hours, but down 7%. I think that number I'm looking at includes the intraday today also, though. Yeah, Microsoft saving guidance for the call, so we'll expect another move at that time. So I don't know. I really want to see what happens when the dust settles on these reports, because the market was moving today like the end of the world was coming. It's been moving. It's been moving since Thursday, pretty much like the end of the world has been coming. And these numbers from Microsoft and Google, while I don't think that they are great, they don't strike me as end of the world numbers either. The Qs right now are trading about $2 down from where they closed. So with right now, we're down 4.5%. That includes the after hours price action. So we closed at 316.91. What was closing lows on the year? Yeah, so no matter what, we have new closing lows on the year for the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq is clearly in bear market territory. We have new closing lows on the year for the IWM, and we have new absolute lows on the year for the IWM. Wow, Nasdaq's down 4.5%. IWM here is trading 50 cents lower after hours, but including that down 3.3%. New closing lows on the year. And the SPYs, where are the SPYs bear market territory? SPYs closed at 416.10. They're trading down $1 after hours. So is that new closing lows in the year for the SPYs too? It was. We had new closing lows in the year for the SPYs by 15 cents, and now we're trading down another buck here after hours. I was just commenting to Pat that today's trading price action really felt kind of like COVID. Like I feel like these and then Pat was like, that's how I felt on Thursday. Thursday, Friday, little relief rally yesterday, continuation today. This market is moving down faster now, I think, than even these vicious sell-offs that we saw here in January and February. Though the January sell-off was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, was like 6 days in a row. This was really day 7. So really we're only on day like 3, 4 here. But the range, the velocity, remember at least on these trading sessions in here and in here, we had those big intraday bounces. Like I specifically remember this day, January 20th, with this big intraday bounce to then come all the way down and close on lows. This price action on these 3 sell-off days, there's not even a rally to be found. Like this ski slope of a downhill move Thursday, Friday, gap down, little relief bounce into the close on Monday, just satisfying some of that downside extension, followed by continuation today. I did not expect this degree of continuation. I thought that, we were in this choppy environment here. We had 2.5 big down days. We closed with a doji day on better volume. I really thought today was going to be more of a rest type of day, which we know our rest days can still have a tremendous amount of volatility with how this market's been. But I really thought today, like, maybe we'd work our way up to 430 to try to give a little follow through, but we'd be week 2. So, you know, I figured we would stay between like 424 and 430 during the day today. And I was totally wrong on the market. I was right on a couple of trade ideas today, which helps. But totally wrong on the market. This sell-off here in the SPYs, I mean, this move right here is really impressive. So again, New Year lows for the indices, it looks like, across the board. We are extended the downside right now. We're at 415 with the ADMA at 431 and change. So that gives us like $16 worth of extension. So that is notable, but it is less than the degree of extension that we saw on the January and February lows. Take a quick look at the NASDAQ, see if we have a different picture. Yeah, NASDAQ just equally brutal here. This market just got hit with a wrecking ball. New Year lows here for the NASDAQ. We're at lows going back how far? We're lows going back to March 21. Still a long way away from our COVID lows though. Whew. Wow, it's been quite the bull rally that finally faded up here. Yeah, and I remember some people were talking about an inverse head and shoulders here potentially for the NASDAQ. Well, that certainly failed. That did not trigger at all. So Q's looking terrible. Let's take a look at the IWM. Same picture here. Massive extension to the downside. Also looks terrible. And we are making lows going back to like December or so 2020. So we're making lows going back to 2020. Market is a mess. But, you know, I wanted to see if Google and Microsoft could save us. Could they save us? And so far the answer is no. But let's see where the dust settles and let's see what the guidance looks like when it comes out from Microsoft. Microsoft is holding up okay right now. And then we still have Facebook, Apple, and Amazon to find a savior in at some point this week. We'll see if it can happen or not. So not great. Definitely not great. You know, tomorrow morning we'll be measuring our gap, which, you know, you got to kind of assume a gap down right now, despite this degree of downside extension just because of these earnings reports. So tomorrow morning we'll assess the gap in conjunction with the degree of extension, and we will see. We're pretty much at a point here where I don't think it's responsible to short. So you gotta look for your extension longs if the signal is there. And that was the big thing. You know, I kept mentioning it today as this market was just super weak, especially the Qs. The Qs were brutal off the open. Look at the 5-minute chart here for the first 35 minutes of the day. Red bar, red bar, red bar, red bar, red bar. And I was saying, like, guys, you got to be very patient, very cautious on attempting to do any longs here. And if you do them, I probably said this 5 times today. If you do any longs, buy them on the way up, do it with small size, get your risk covered. It's very hard to have any conviction, especially like yesterday's low should not have been able to break for any of these indices. Relief rally, it's only day 1 on a little bit of a relief rally yesterday, and then immediately you're breaking that low. Yesterday's low should not have been able to break. So immediately you knew that there was something wrong, and tech was leading the way down. SPYs and IWM tried to hold up a little bit better, but they eventually lost it also. SPYs were really fighting midday here to roughly hold that 420, and then eventually lost it as well. So, like I kept saying, today was not the day to be doing any real long buying. Just super dangerous. There was very few signals that even came in. There was a couple times where maybe it was okay to try it versus a level, and then, you know, every once in a while you'd have a stock here or a stock there that looked like it was trying to show some relative strength or make a higher low or hold up, but without the indices support, then you just couldn't get any help there. And I do think a lot of that was led by Tesla. And this, by the way, was, you know, one of my ideas of the day here was Tesla, the key 975 level, that you could try to be long above 975. But if it's 975 breaks, that's a short. I did not expect that I would currently be looking at the stock to be $100 lower today. That doesn't surprise me. I wonder if Elon's getting a margin call yet on the shares that he is borrowing against to finance his Twitter purchase. You know, if not right now, then maybe in a couple more days if we continue to sell the way that we're selling here. So yeah, we talked about the short through 975. The problem with this, I thought, and in hindsight, it doesn't feel like a problem at all, is that you had to risk $9 in it, which is more than I generally like to risk in Tesla. The Tesla is a $1,000 stock, so it's not that absurd. But this is why I generally don't like trading these super expensive stocks, because it often calls for so much space risk, so then you can't take that much size. But I know that a few of you guys caught the trade, and congratulations to the people who caught the trade. I really hope that you held at least a percentage of your position all day. If you follow my rules for being in a with trend trade, this like never even broke on the 5-minute chart today. You know, you short that 975, there's no pivots, it's just straight down. Eventually, even on a 5-minute chart, you never get stopped out. Eventually there's a pivot here, you can lower your stop. Eventually there's a pivot here, you can lower your stop. Eventually there's a pivot here where you can lower your stop. I think that this would be too tight midday to lower your stop to here, but technically I guess you could because it made a new low, in which case then yeah, fine. Maybe you if you were trading it about as tight could be in Tesla, you only made $80 on the short today. So that was a really good trade. A couple other people. Robert here just giving me some information. Elon Musk borrowed $12.5 billion via margin loan to complete his acquisition of Twitter. However, he had to pledge $62.5 billion in Tesla shares. If Tesla stock, this is exactly the data I've been looking for. If Tesla stock price falls by 43% to $35.7 billion in value, Musk will receive a margin call. So that's a price of $570 in Tesla. That's exactly what I was guessing. Isn't that what I said yesterday? I was like, could it be that unusual? There was that massive support here at 542. With what some of these companies are doing right now, is it that impossible? Is it that impossible for Tesla to see 545 again at some point in the future? For this type of company that trades at such an insane multiple? I know that they just had a insanely good quarter again. Yeah, it would be, Paul, but look, it was I mean, look, it was just at this price less than a year ago. You know? Is it too ridiculous to think that this stock could go back to a price that it was at less than a year ago in this market environment that we've been dealing with right now? I don't think so. And look, but yeah, sure, Justin, I agree. The flip side on that is look what the stock has done since that amazing earnings report. And look, I was the first person to say, and you guys probably know that I have not been biased to be a Tesla bull for quite some time, even though I respect some of Elon's work. Look at how this stock is trading even on not great numbers. You know, I'm not saying that this thing needs to get down to 540 tomorrow. But, you know, you tell me there's not a situation where this market stays weak and this thing trickles its way down into the 700s, and then we hit next quarter and they have a not so great earnings report and it gaps down a bit and gets some continuation. There's a very real world where Tesla's trading at $540 at some point in the next year or two, especially with what this market's doing, especially with what we've been able to see happen from companies like Facebook and Netflix on the way down. So it's like I said, I was saying this, and of course I'm not short Tesla. Elon Musk, if you're a Tesla shareholder, you should be pissed about this Twitter buy. If this is so bad for your stock, even before the sell-off today. Your CEO just took a random, unnecessary, exogenous risk with a company that has nothing to do with electric cars. For what reason, I don't fully know, but that's a risk to your money. Because if this dude starts getting margin calls and he has to do like a forced liquidation of Tesla shares at a certain point, oh my God, it would just be just be ruthless. I genuinely hope that that doesn't happen. I genuinely hope it doesn't happen. I genuinely hope that Elon can keep it up. Yeah, seriously, Lou. But this price action of Tesla, super concerning. It led the market down. There was no new news on Tesla today. I think that this was just a combination of fear on the Twitter buy, because people are realizing exactly what I'm talking about, that this is a risk for your Tesla stock that you didn't have previously, and a technical break of a key level. That just, and then, you know, a feedback cycle of selling that happened in the market. So just totally ruthless here with Tesla. Tesla down 13% as of right now, which includes another $10 or so, $8 or so drop after hours right now. I think he's running even more than 3 businesses, right? Yeah, exactly. It's just complete insanity to me. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. What's Microsoft doing now? Still in that area, 270 area. What's Google doing now? Not so great. Not so sexy. Yeah, so we had the Tesla call out for the short today, which was solid. And then you guys brought up a couple good inside days that we spoke about that also could have been either direction trades depending on the break. One was Roblox. So this turned out to be the downside trade. So inside day and down through 33.67. This was another one that was a lot of risk, kind of more risk than you might want to take here. Shortened through 33.67. You would have to give it the highs. So you'd be taking on 70 cents worth of risk in a $30 stock. So that is certainly tricky. That's Roblox. And then we also discussed Snap. Snap, maybe not as great follow through as the others, but that had that earnings report a couple days ago, held an okay, gave that inside day yesterday. We mentioned this was also a two-way trade, depending on which way it breaks. It broke to the downside, so you could have shorted Snap through 28.91. Through 28.91. Didn't really watch this one here. Where would that have triggered? It would have triggered on this bar right here. Low volume. I hate that low volume on this candle when it's breaking. And you probably would have gotten stopped out at this at some point during the day, but certainly would have gotten your break-even kicks ahead of time. Well, so no, ET, and I usually do questions in order, so I'll go back in a minute. ET asking, is the risk of a Tesla margin call a reason why Twitter are trading at such a discount to the deal price? Does the market think that the deal will fail? I don't think that Tesla has anything to do with the Twitter deal going through. I think the Twitter deal going through has an impact on Tesla, but I don't think that Tesla has an impact on the Twitter deal going through. I don't exactly know why the degree of the discount on Twitter even still at this point. You know, we had discussed it back here when it was in the mid-40s, that, well, the market was just severely discounting that it was going to play out. So the market here still thinks, for some reason, that this deal might not happen. And at this point, I haven't done enough new updated research on the saga to be able to kind of give you an input on why at this point. Because it sounds like, based on yesterday, that this deal should be going through at 54.20. Yet still trading at a 8-10% discount off that price. So I don't know. I wouldn't. A lot of times, you think about antitrust issues. I don't see an antitrust issue here on the Twitter purchase. Like what we saw with like Activision trading well below its buy price from Microsoft for a while. They were just discounting on it from antitrust concerns that it could actually happen. So I really don't know, but for some reason the market's discounting that there's a very real chance that this deal still doesn't go through. And honestly, if you're a Tesla shareholder, you should be praying that it doesn't go through. This thing is no good for you. So we'll see. Let me scroll up here in the VTF and see if I missed any other questions? And then I'll do them in order. All right. Is tallow moving after hours? Yeah, not really, but I still like it. I added yesterday at a really good price. All right, scrolling through here. From Michael, wouldn't he likely pull a lever like an IPO of SpaceX before liquidating Tesla at lows? Michael, that is a great thought process to add to the table there. It's not something I considered. I think that there is a ton of unlocked value in SpaceX if he decided to IPO it. And I've been saying for a while, like that's the Musk company that I would want to be a shareholder of. Obviously, you got to take a look at price, but I really like what Elon is doing with SpaceX as a company. That's a company that I would really give a very serious consideration on looking into. It's not like that other fraud. I know it's not a fraud in real terms of a fraud, but it's just I meant that just insofar as it being a terrible business is this Virgin Galactic. This company is garbage. Just space tourism. SpaceX is not space tourism. Even if they've got a little bit of that going on, SpaceX is about, you know, getting those NASA government contracts and shooting satellites into space and everything. It's a solid looking company from what I've seen of it. From Urjo. Oh wait, hold on, I missed something here. From Justin, if Tesla goes to 500, there are bigger problems with the market. No, I'm not sure. You know, Tesla still trades at an insane multiple that it has to be able to catch up to. So it really depends on. I mean, if Tesla's at 500, is the market going to be down from where it is currently? Yes, yes, it is. I feel pretty confident of that because Tesla's such a large percentage of it. But there could be a lot of factors. You know, maybe the market, which has already been punishing, you know, multiples, starts to punish. This is one of the few super high multiple companies that has really held up since November of last year, or even since before that, actually, really since like February of last year. Most of those high multiple companies are down 60 to 90%. Tesla's held up like an absolute champion despite that multiple compression everywhere else. So I mean, what's the PE on Tesla at $500? I bet it's still what a lot of fundamental people would consider to be very expensive. But it's been able to hold up just because it's a cult stock, really. And there has been business improvements for sure. That last earnings report was a good looking earnings report from what I saw. You know, that free cash flow number I thought looked pretty good. So we'll see what happens. From Urjo, isn't there a split coming up on Tesla shares? I don't know. Is there? Can someone confirm that? I didn't think so. I know there is for Google and Amazon. I've been looking forward to it. But I also think, and it's interesting, you know, we saw Apple perform really well on a couple stock splits. Like the stock split announcement happened, the stock exploded. I remember seeing it in real time on when that happened. Then Google and Amazon weren't so good, and the traditional argument doesn't apply anymore. You know, the traditional argument that a stock split allows, you know, poorer retail investors to be able to invest in the stock, it doesn't apply anymore because all these brokers have like slivers of shares. Like you can buy like 1/10 of a share of Tesla and Amazon through like the public trading app, as an example. From Joel MR, what do you think of a reversion trade on Uber on that Monday V bottom? What day of the week is today? It feels like I've already traded 3 weeks this week. So Monday was just yesterday, right? So you're telling me that it had a V bottom yesterday? To me, it just looks like straight up off of a gap down. Oh, the midday V bottom today. Got you. You didn't say Monday. Sorry. My brain is just like fried today. Here's your midday V bottom. So what's the question? What do you think of a reversion trade on Uber on the midday V bottom? This was another one. This bounced so well midday, risking at the low of the day and entering on the second low of the 5 minutes. Looked relatively strong compared to the whole market at that point. Of course, it ended up going pretty far, but would have been a good trade without the hindsight bias. Sure. So I think that this is a very difficult trade. The first thing I would say is that from a qualitative fundamental perspective, my thought process is once again evolving on Uber, and I like it more than I used to. I really hated this company for a long time, and now I think that there is a chance that they can evolve this company into like a real super app that does just a lot of things. It's your one-stop app. If they could make partnerships with the major airlines and things like that, and Airbnb, it could almost, and it sounds like that they're trying to make inroads to doing that based on what I've read, that they could almost make the Uber app your one-stop shop for all travel. So instead of, going to one website for booking your flight and one website for booking your Airbnb or your hotel and one website for how you're going to get to the airport and how you're going to get to that hotel after you land, you have the Uber app, which becomes a super app for all things related to travel. And we are seeing that travel is actually doing really well right now, even as like discretionary spending maybe is not improving in the same way. So my broader thought process in Uber is starting to evolve again. With that said, I don't love a midday trade when the market's as weak as it is, and I don't see a very strong signal here to kind of take the buy. And I struggle to even honestly call this a double bottom because it's not an equal low or a lower low. Usually you want those double bottoms to actually have a slightly lower low compared to this one so that they shake people out and it makes it easier to go up. The flip side, though, is that this higher low showed a degree of relative strength that you were not able to see in a bunch of other stocks. And I highlighted this for a few other names like earlier in the day. Like I thought that some of these things, where was it? In here. Path is a name that I've really been focused on. I loved that here at 10:35. This gave a strong bounce and was attempting to make a higher low and then another strong bounce. But like I kept saying, if this market doesn't cooperate, then it's not going to matter. So the thought process I think would be the same here with Uber, even though this one actually worked really well and showed great strength. I don't see any signal here that's getting me excited really midday to say this is the one that I'm going to buy, despite the fact that it gave this really good bounce. And you had to be super cautious, super patient, and probably pretty light on any longs that you took today, given the major layer of probability that is against the success of this trade and any other long, which is the market itself. And so I would really want that major signal to come in. If I saw here at noon that this thing was making this higher low, and I had really reason to believe around here at noon that the market was creating some sort of pivot, I guess the spies were trying to hold this 420, then maybe. But excuse me, wow, I really am shot. Then maybe. I don't know. I think it's a really tough trade there, Joel. Really tough trade. If you caught it though, I'm happy for you. From Jackie. Do you plan to post more educational content on your course on T3's website or through the YouTube channel? Also, could you please recommend some ways that newer traders can work on improving their execution in trades? Thanks. Yeah, for sure. I've just gotten really caught up in a lot of different things business related the last couple of weeks, so I haven't had time to film any new of those shorter mini lessons for YouTube, for the Derrick the Trader YouTube there. It is something that's on my list, and I do have a small list of topics to do little mini classes on. And if you or anyone else has any other specific topics that they would want me to make a little mini YouTube class on, please just shoot me an email and I'll be happy to take a look at it and possibly add it to the list if I think that it's something I can produce. I have one other class for the broader training program that, actually there's two other classes for the broader training program. One that I did film and I just can't get these people to put it up there. I got to get it done. Last I heard it was sitting with compliance for approval. and then one other class that I thought I filmed but I didn't, which maybe I'll try to film that other class when I'm back in New York. I'm flying back to New York in less than 2 weeks. I'm going to be there for the summer. And then that really wraps up my training program, though, once I get those 2 other classes that into it. And then I can always do more mini lessons for the YouTube. I really enjoy doing that type of content. And like I said, I've got a little list there. But if you want to send me over some suggestions or things that you'd like to see or learn about or whatever, please do so, and I'll be happy to add it in. Working on improving execution. So I do think that you can re-review the classes that are already on there for execution. You know, execution is very heavily trade dependent. It's hard for me to speak broadly on great tidbits for execution. The main thing is don't be late, anticipate, don't react. So meaning you want to buy, like if there's a beautiful breakout at $50, you want to buy $50. You don't want to buy $50.25 because you watched it work without you and now you want to get involved. You're always going to have a worse risk reward. So you really want to make sure that you get that actual $50 execution on the entry and that you know what the appropriate stop loss is that we use for that type of trade. The issue here is, why I can use that as an example, but it's hard for me to speak broadly, is that every type of trade that you may look at has different kind of rules for execution. How you're supposed to buy that trade, where your stop loss is supposed to be. So we could go over it for individual types of trades and execution, but the biggest thing is don't be late. If you missed a trade and it's giving you a second chance, it's usually not a good idea to take the trade because the best trades don't give you second chances. Make sure that your stop loss is in the right spot at the right time, and then also do your own review. When you're doing your journaling, which everyone should be doing, especially newer traders should be doing every day after the close, when you're journaling your trades, you really got to look back and you got to say, hey, did I execute this trade properly? And if you didn't, well, why didn't you, and what adjustment can you make? Robert, there is no upcoming split in Tesla. That's kind of what I thought. From Policing Pips, historically midterm years have drawdowns leading into the elections, then rally. Do you feel this year could be different or stick to the pattern? I don't have a good feel for you on this one, Mr. Pips. This has been a calendar year so far where what typically is supposed to happen based on things like seasonality or kind of what you're explaining here just has not happened. Case in point. End of April is typically strong. April is typically a strong month. Last week is typically the strongest week of the year. January is typically also strong. None of those things have happened. The only normal seasonality thing that we had was some strength into the end of March, which I think is normal there. But that was just caused by a short squeeze too. So I don't know. I genuinely do not know, Mr. Pips. I like calling you Mr. Pips. From Gabriel, if I leave an order open right now, no, it will not. It will not be there tomorrow. Your order will get canceled at 8 p.m. Yes, Michael. I thought I had filmed the inside bar class. It turns out I did not. I filmed another class, my like wrap-up class, my major themes for trading success class, which they just haven't posted yet, I don't think. In the inside bar class, I thought I had filmed, but I did not. I thought I had asked them, but I specifically decided to dedicate an entire afternoon meeting at one point. The cows are on the move. I thought I decided to dedicate an entire afternoon meeting to inside bars once, and I asked them just to pull it and make it to class, and I don't know what happened. So I'll look into filming that when I get back to New York. Yeah, Joel, that's the right idea. Definitely, that type of trade. You got to trade there. There's a couple things that you could be looking at, but you want to, I think, really taper off your risk on any longs today, like I kept saying all day. Just because, the market has just been an absolute disaster. An absolute disaster. CHS for potential squeeze tomorrow. CHX. Not too familiar with this one. All right, we'll keep it on the radar. Champion X. All right, gang. I think we covered the questions for today. Just such a crazy day, crazy market. I really hope that. I mean, look, honestly, there was a lot of opportunity to make good money today. It sounds like a few of you guys did. You just got to be open-minded. This has been a two-way market. Now it's kind of a one-way market to the downside. That we're back at pretty extreme levels of oversoldness for the market. So yeah. Definitely pretty wild. We'll assess tomorrow morning's gap, which will presumably be down. We'll assess those degrees of extension. We'll see if there's an opportunity to catch an oversold bounce again, or if we just gotta stay away from this market. And then we got more fun up on deck, right? Facebook, Amazon, Apple, still coming at you. So have a great night, everybody, and I will see y'all tomorrow.